Hi, and welcome to the Unstuck Edit with me, Gail Chisholm. Today's topic is helping you get unstuck when it comes to colours and the colours that you may wish to wear. One of the things that I do is I am a stylist and Colour Me Beautiful trained. And one thing I find a lot of people are curious about is colour analysis and what does it mean to have your colours done? Why should you even bother? Is it a tool that you may want to lean on to help build your confidence? Well, if any of those are relevant or you're just colour curious, this is the episode for you. So, first of all, let's just sort of talk about what is colour analysis. It is about finding the colours that when you wear them next to your face that harmonise with your features. Now, harmonisation is actually the critical point here. And if you are going for a colour consult, that is what they're going to do. They're going to look for the colours that work well with you. You can then use that and make choices on the colours that you wear, whether to wear those colours that do harmonise or wear the colours that don't harmonise. And part of the getting your colours done is the education around what is harmonisation. How do you know if a colour is harmonising with you? And that enables you to then make choices whether to do it or not to do it. And personally, I think when people make active choices to do something stylistically, that is confidence. That's where you're going to push yourself. You're going to the energy that you bring into an outfit or that your space is going to be really magnetic as a result. So going back to colours then, everybody has a range of colours that will complement them and create harmony in their features. And when we're looking for harmony, that's how when you wear the colour predominantly like next to your face and how that interacts with your skin, the colour of your skin, the tone and texture of your skin, your eye colour, hair colour as well. Now, some colour analysts or stylists, depending on your training, may or may not factor in hair colour. Now, a lot of that's also going to be dependent on whether it's your natural hair colour or not. There's also different schools of thought around grey, going grey and greying, etc. But we're not here to talk about that today. We're here just looking at the sort of the basic facts around colour and colour analysis. So why would you even think about leaning on this as a tool? Well, when you wear colours that harmonise with your features, it can even out your skin tone. It can diminish fine lines and blemishes. It can make the whites of your eyes and your teeth whiter. It can make your eyes sparkler more and your complexion more radiant. It can make you look less tired. And conversely, when you're wearing colours that don't harmonise with you, it can exaggerate these things. So it could make a blemish look more pronounced, or it could make the bags under your eyes seem bigger. It might cast shadows under you and make any kind of, for me as a woman of a certain age, the little jowly bits here. Other things that when you're wearing colours that aren't harmonising is it can act as a distraction. And it can distract in two ways. One is it can overpower you, which means that when someone's talking to you, they're being distracted by the color you're wearing. It's not harmonizing, and therefore it is. And if it's overpowering, it's going to be the thing that keeps drawing the eye. Often that can be then drawing the eye down. Equally, if you're wearing, if you're say like a darker and deeper, and you're wearing like pastel colors, it can have like a draining effect, like and dragging the face down. So not just a distraction in terms of dominating what is in the view, but also then actually how is that being perceived. Now, I'm going to take you back to primary school and how we all learned about colours, right? So what's really interesting about colour analysis is that it's not just binary. You're not just warm or cool necessarily, it's a scale. And I like to think about if you think about color being on this scale, is it actually makes it easier for you to then think about plotting on there. And when you can figure out where you're sitting on these values, that I'll explain in a second, you can then look to match the colors with that, because that's ultimately what harmonization is. Okay. So let's go back to breaking down a color, like what you would have learned in primary school. So there are 3 dimensions to a color. The first dimension is the hue, and this is the amount of white or black in the color. And in color analysis terms, like you might have seen this if you've done any research, is it's a sliding scale from light colors, and then you add more black into it and it gets to deep or dark. So you've got this line between light and deep. The second dimension to color is the value, and this is the undertone of the color and how warm or cool it is, or how much yellow or how much blue there is. So at one end of your scale, you've got warm colors, and then so like if you think they're the most with the most yellow in the base, and then as you start to add more and more blue, they get cooler and cooler and cooler. And then the third dimension to a color is what's called chroma, and this is the pureness or clarity or a measure of grayness in the color. So at one end we've got very clear or bright colors, and then if you start to add more and more gray into it, it becomes softer and softer and softer. So I sometimes think when I'm sort of describing this is to think of those on scales of like say 1 through 5. So you've got light being 1, 5 being deep. So you've got them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 being your midpoint. Same for value, same for chroma. What you're looking to do then is find where you're sitting on each of those values. So if I was to match out, so what is like the hue or the lightness or depth in my features, for example. So for somebody who's going to align with light, we'll be looking at lightness in the skin, lightness in the eye color, lightness in the skin, lightness in the hair. Conversely, for deeper dark, we're looking for depth. So that's where there's more harmony with like darker colors. So that would be dark hair, darker eyes, darker skin. You get the idea, right? In color analysis, there are, I think there's like 3 main skills now. Anyway, I was Colour Me Beautiful. It started off using the seasonal system, which a lot of other colour schools still use. And then it moved to the tonal system. And the tonal system is much more aligned to the 3 dimensions of colour. And what I would be looking for is in my consult is to see which of the where's the dominance in your features. And what a stylist mean when it talks about dominance is, so if we go back to those sliding scales, so where are you sitting? So dominance would be where you're sitting at like the extreme end. So are you at the very light end or the very deep? Is your undertones warm or cool? Are you do you have contrast and clarity in your features? So are you clear, or is there actually more a softer, more blended look? There you at the soft end. And in some of it, you might be sitting more in the middle, which means it's kind of more neutral. So those values may be slightly less important. In the seasonal system, so you've got the 4 main seasons: spring, summer, autumn, winter. If you went to someone for a consult on the seasonal, is actually in addition to the 4 main ones, where actually you're sitting at the extreme ends of one of those measures, is actually much like Mother Nature. Spring just does suddenly one day not wake up and be autumn the next. It transitions, so we get flows moving through. So if you've seen anything on socials or been heard someone who works in the seasonal system talking about, or you're a summer flow, or it might be like you're a light summer or a bright winter, when it starts using some of these languages, what it's meaning is actually as it flows around. For me, as I say, the simplest way if you want to DIY it at home is to think about the scales and then think about where would you sit on this. Now, there are some AI tools out there. I've actually recorded a TikTok on this ages and ages ago. Like, AI, I mean, it can do so many things now, right? And it can give you a color analysis. And there are some tools out there that are actually very, very good. But some of it is dependent on the input that you give it, and therefore it's going to drive an output. So I would just exercise some caution or discernment around when you're doing these things. There's an AI tool that you can upload your photograph in, and it does, it's like a color picker. I would always say do at least 3 or 4 different tries and take some different points on your face. The quality of the image that you give to these AI tools will also have an impact, like what's the light, how much of their face can you see, etc. So they're very helpful. I'm not going to lie, like I've talked about AI before. I mean, some things are great, but I mean, obviously it's I was going to say it does me out of a job, but actually it doesn't, because what I think is really helpful if you're curious about this is it's a great way to educate yourself. But when you want to start having a conversation and be able to go deeper, also to start to draw in different aspects, having a conversation or going to a human to talk about color, is they've got nuance, and AI doesn't necessarily have nuance. It can't necessarily take what you're saying and interpret. It can't necessarily read your like your emotions and your body language. Like, so much for me when I work with a client, especially when we're actually having the consults, not just they've paid for a digital report, is actually that's where the nuance comes in, because I can read their body language. I can see as we're talking, like, how's that landing for you? Does that resonate? What lights them up? What are they like, oh, I'm not so sure about that? What is feeling scary or overwhelming? Like, how are they going to take this color information and integrate it into their life, into their wardrobe, all of that type of thing. So if color is a tool that you are finding intriguing, by all means start with the self knowledge stuff, or come to someone like myself and get a digital report. Then you'll get the colors that harmonize, you'll get information on how to wear it. And often what I find, I mean, it's the same when I work with some coaches, right? I do a lot of research myself, and then I realize that I can take it so far, and I need to bring in someone to really help me get over the line, embody it the way I want it to be. But using colors and looking for colors that harmonize with you can actually be a really great feature into your style. Some people choose to incorporate color as part of their signature style. It might be something that you really lean on heavily. And once you understand the concept of harmonizing and contrast, I suppose, or it's not really contrast, that's not the right word, but where you're not in harmony, is you understand what the color is doing for you or against you, and then you can lean into that. For example, like black's quite a tricky color to wear for a lot of women, but we do enjoy wearing it. But if you understand, like, so for me, when I wear black, I understand what black is doing to my features and how I'm presenting in a space. That's knowledge that then I can do something about it. And sometimes I'll use it as a statement. Sometimes I use it as an opportunity to wear more makeup, get on the bright red lipstick. So I'm combating the dominance of the black. So yeah, knowledge is power, so to speak. So how does some of this then translate? What I thought would be quite helpful today, I did some work on a workshop around looking more at the seasonal stuff. So it might be easier if I go through some of the seasons and help to explain how you might harmonize, and we'll draw in the 3 dimensions as well. So as I say, we've got summer, autumn, winter, and spring as our 4 main seasons. I'll start with spring, because like I always like when spring is sprung. A true spring is someone who, so the colors in the spring palette are warm, light, and bright. And so we're looking for harmonization, for you to sit with spring being a home season, for you to harmonize with, your features being warm, light, and bright. So that means that you're going to have lighter hair, lighter skin, fair hair, warm tones to your hair. So that would be golden blonde, I'm probably a bit like that, where I've got like mousy hair, but it goes a bit more golden in the sunshine, apart from the greys. You might have freckly skin. It might look like you're more pink undertone, so it might not appear that you're obviously warm. Spring's a bit of a season of contrasts. Uh, and sometimes it's, if you don't fit into some of the other ones, it's where you might be fitting. The other season that's warm, I'll just cover off and do the warm ones first, is autumn. And if you think you've got warm undertones, sometimes it's easier to identify you into the autumn. And then if you're not there, you're into spring. So the autumn palette is warm colours, deep colours, and soft colours. So again, we're looking for your features to be warm, deep, and soft. So we'd be looking for mid to dark brown, a much more obviously warmth to your look. Softer features. Now, what we mean when we say soft, that means like there is like your skin, like the color of your skin, the color of your eyes, the color of your eyebrows, color of your hair are all tonal. So you don't really have, there's not contrast. So there's not, say, a contrast eye color. Things just feel like quite blended. The cool seasons are summer and winter. Winter is sometimes easier to identify, to be honest, a true winter. So the winter color palette is cool colors, deep colors, and bright colors. So you're looking for dark hair, contrast features in the eyes. Now that might be dark hair, blue eyes, black hair, green eyes, or it could come through in that you've got dark hair, dark eyes, but the whites of your eyes are really vibrant, and so that there's lots of contrast there. Very like porcelain skin. I find that people who like sit particularly in the winter, there's like a brightness and a sort of a glow or a reflection in the skin. It feels more like glassy and porcelain. Whereas the softer seasons, the texture is more matte, so it might have more texture in the skin, less light reflecting. So if you're none of those, you might be sitting there, summer being more of your home season, and summers are light, cool, and soft. So again, that's where we'd be looking for you to harmonise. Now, as I mentioned, you might be like, well, I don't think I fit neatly into one of those 4 boxes. Totally not normal. So go back to the 3 dimensions and start looking at where would you fit on the light to deep scale. Where would you fit on the warm to cool, and where would you fit on the clear to soft? Now, a way to check this, so warm cool, sometimes, like if you've ever been for a foundation check in person, or you've been to a hairdresser and asked them for color that will harmonize, so like blonde, soft, and quite good. So if the hairdresser is dyeing your hair with golden highlights because they've done it to harmonize with your features, it's more likely you're warm. If they've given you ash blonde, it's more likely that you're cool. And equally, as I say, you can go to a makeup counter and get them to color match a foundation for you, and they'll be trained as well to look at your undertone and see what will work well. And this is also where you might find that they've given you a neutral. Now, for me, I'm more of like a warm neutral, so I'm not a full warm, I'm not a cool. So I'm more in that middle point. So my home season, if I was to dress, is more spring, but I'm not a true spring. Because I don't sit at the extremes, and on the warm cool, I'm probably more towards the middle, like a 2.5 or a 3. So anyway, the more you get to know yourself, the easier it's going to be for you to benchmark those. You can also test this at home. So you can go and gather lots of different colors of clothing, of garments, looking at the different seasons, or you might have warm colors, cool colors, light colors, dark colors, bright colors, and soft colors. I would always test black and like a true icy white, because they are both very cold colors. So white is really a slightly easier for me to wear than black, because it's a lighter, cooler color, whereas black being the darker, cooler color, it really overpowers me. So you're going to gather all of them, and what you're going to do is you're just going to stand natural light, minimal makeup, and looking at yourself in the mirror, and hold the color up. Now, the color is always most going to have most impact when it is right under your face. So it's quite interesting now, because what's happened, I've put a white piece of paper under me, and if you're watching this, and I'm just going to prattle on, and what you're going to notice is, so the white actually, as I say, isn't too bad, but what it is it can be quite distracting. So in terms of, if we're thinking of a calibration, the white is the thing that you're probably wanting to look at more than my features. If I take it away and you've got more of my own skin, you're finding that it's easier for you to pay attention at my face because I'm talking. Think about job interviews or situations where you want people to pay attention to your face and what you're saying. This is where colour may be something that you want to lean on, because you can make sure by wearing colours that are harmonising that people are paying attention to you. They're not being distracted on a subconscious level at something that you're wearing. So when you do this test, what you're then going to do is you're going to just start looking at your face and start asking yourself questions like, what's happening to my skin? Is it more or less bright? Notice if you've got like a little blemish or a fine line or a darker circle under your eye. Like, ask yourself, is it more or less pronounced? And if you smile and look at the whites of your eyes, are they more or less bright? Do you think you look more or less tired? Do you think you look more or less youthful? Like, these are all the questions. And so you're going to start to really just build up a really unique picture of yourself. And that's amazing, isn't it? Because that's where then you're going to be able to figure out where you're sitting on those sliding scales. So I'm going to attempt to share some pictures of celebrities in an educational setting. Hopefully you can now see my screen. So this is, let me see if I can put it onto full screen. There we go. Cookie with gas now. So this is a really interesting, I think, because sometimes the best way is to see an obvious where the colors are harmonizing, where the colors aren't, and you can start to dig into what is this doing. Now, these are all pictures I have collated from the internet, from various social posts, newspaper articles, etc. And this is, as I say, purely educational. And there's always a little asterisk on some of these pictures because the light can sometimes make a difference on this. However, hopefully you'll get the gist of this, with some things being extreme. So springs, if you remember, springs are light, warm and bright. So there's so we're looking for people, so the people have warm, light and bright. And it's really interesting, I think, when you start to look. So the Nicole Kidman one is a really good example. I mean, actually, she does play around with sometimes the tone of her hair. The ticks on screen are where it's colours from the colour palette, and the crosses are are not from the colour palette. But you can see there, this is the extreme. So with Nicole wearing the black, she has put more, like, she's got a bit more makeup on, but you can see that her skin tone's slightly different. This is also a very extreme black outfit because it's a really high neck. And we can see, I know that the lighting's slightly different to the other picture, but you can see that her skin tone's slightly different. There's probably a little bit more accentuation of the little fine lines, but mostly, like, you find that it's really dominating. So you'll find that you'll start to look at that a bit more. I feel if she'd maybe popped the red lip on, it might have helped combat and created more balance in the look, because then the lipstick would keep the attention on the face. The Emma Stone one is another example of, so she's got this beautiful yellow colour, she's got reddish tones in her hair, she's got really bright blue eyes and very porcelain skin. But when she's wearing that really deep, dark plum lipstick and also the silver dress, it's sometimes it can be subtle when you're seeing colour that's in harmony and not in harmony. Right, let's go to the next one of summer. I think the Sarah Jessica Parker one is a really good way to illustrate it. And obviously, I think she's become more summer as she lets her hair go grey. But the blazer that she's wearing is sort of a deep maroon color, so it's much more of an autumn color. And if we think, remember that summers are we're looking for harmonization with light, cool, and soft. And the color of that maroon jacket is a deep, warm, and soft. So it ticks the box on the soft because it's that the fabric's also quite light absorbing, but it's just it's not as vibrant as when we see her in the silver tones, the lighter, cooler, softer colors. Judi Dench as well. She's much more where we can see her in that kind of whitish outfit, and then Bianca Balti. The one thing I would say is like summer is a cool season. So if you're sitting on the cool side, wearing cooler colors is going to be easier for you. So the black. There's some argument as to whether Bianca is a winter or a summer. Please comment in the chat. If you're interested in celebrities and their colors, there's so much on the internet. It's really fascinating, and it really is really good to I love it from a style point of view because it challenges me. So let's have a look at our autumns. So you can see here, so Eva Mendes. So this is a really good way to illustrate the point of the autumn being sometimes easier to identify. So it's warm, deep, and soft. With Eva Mendes, like this sort of aqua color is quite a winter color, and you can see that it's almost making her look a little bit like more yellow. And then when we look at her in this kind of more of this yellower color, I mean, it's probably still slightly moving towards the winter. Frankie Bridges, that's another really good example where it's like you can see the difference between the silver color and then this kind of autumn. And also for Meghan Markle too, like when she wears these beautiful rich autumnal colors, like it really brings her her whole face to life. I think again we can see with the black and white, so the print is really contrasting as well. And when you don't have as much contrast in your features, wearing a bold contrasting pattern like that can be dominating of your features. I think she just, that green is fantastical. And then we've got winters. So you can see, like with Candy, sometimes things are quite subtle. So this orange dress, like we've lost the real whites of her eyes. Her skin looks a bit less vibrant. Liv Tyler as well is another one where that's quite, you can really see the difference between the kind of when she's wearing the sort of warm creamy color versus the cooler pink color. And then for Aisling B as well, quite a lot. So she's got this classic dark hair, blue eyes combo. So the brightness and the vibrancy of the top really brings things to life, whereas the green is a bit more autumnal. It's hard when they don't have the same facial expression because sometimes that's what we're looking for. Anyway, let me come off screen share. So that's a whistle stop tour of color analysis. What it is, how to figure out your own color analysis, some reasons why you may want to think about wearing some colors that harmonize with you. As I say, it is a tool that sometimes can be transformative for people. And, for some people, if you're someone that, in fact, last week I was talking about decision fatigue, right? Shopping, getting your colors done. So having someone professionally analyze you and giving you a set of color swatches for you to shop in can be a really great way to eliminate decision fatigue, because you've got a range of colors that if you shop within those, everything's going to work with each other. It's all going to work with your features. It minimizes or reduces the number of decisions that you have to make, because when you open your wardrobe, everything goes with each other. Everything suits you. You don't have that thing of you put something on and you take it off because you can't figure out what is wrong with it. And sometimes it's actually the color. So your homework for today, go away, have a look at what's in your wardrobe, test out whether you think the things in your wardrobe are harmonizing with you or not, and have a go at where you sit on those three values. Where are you sitting, and therefore where do you think you would sit on the tonal scheme? Do you have a dominant feature? Where would you sit in the seasonal system? I will share with you mine, and then I will let you go off and practice. So I was doing some CPD work recently with another style educator, and we were one of the things I needed to do as part of the analysis was to analyze myself. And it's interesting because spring is a home season, and I've got features that align with spring, but I also have features that align with summer, but I'm not either. And then so we had this whole, it was really cool actually, because I popped my pictures, and I actually did a bit on Insta a few years ago, like which red would suit me. And actually the where I sit is what's called light, and that is really a bridge between summer and spring and summer. So I can wear it neutral. So my value is neutral. So I probably erring a little bit on the warm side. But it means that, and I noticed this when I went through chemo, because I had obviously no hair, no eyebrows, no eyelashes. The drugs also made me look really pale and pasty. Is actually cool colors suddenly started to really harmonize much, much better with me, like the ones in the summer palette, so the more extreme ends. And then so I'm more in the middle. And then in terms of my contrast level, it is probably the midpoint. So some brighter colors do really work well with me, and some softer. But if I go too soft, it looks not very nice. And then if I go too bright, it's too dominating. So if I go too soft, it's almost like it makes me look tired and unwell. So I am a light. I am excited to hear what you figure yourself out to be. Obviously, if you're interested in getting a colour analysis done, I do offer digital reports with or without an actual in-person or a Zoom consult. So you can just get your report, or go and experiment with AI and let me know how you get on. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode and it's been helpful and educational. As ever, I'd always love to hear how you're getting on. And maybe if there's anything else, if you want me to go deeper, if you've got any questions, just give me a shout. And until the next episode, I'll speak to you all soon. Thanks.